Have you ever wondered how a philosopher from like 2,000 years ago could possibly hold the secrets to giving a killer presentation today? Well, stick around because we're about to unlock Aristotle's totally timeless guide to making your words actually count. You know that feeling, right? You're up there giving a presentation, or maybe you're just writing a super important email, and you can just feel it. The message is just not getting through. You're getting those blank stares, or even worse, you can see people starting to check their phones. It's rough. Well, believe it or not, this is the exact problem Aristotle was obsessed with over 2,300 years ago. And he wasn't just some philosopher stuck in an ivory tower. No, he was a master communicator who came up with a really practical, powerful guide to make sure your words always matter. So, where do we even start? Well, for Aristotle, it all boils down to two golden rules. Seriously, think of these as the absolute foundation for any effective speech or argument you'll ever make. Clarity and appropriateness. Aristotle's whole argument was that great style isn't about being fancy or using big words. It's about finding this perfect sweet spot right between these two ideas. Your message has to be understood, but it also has to feel totally right for the situation you're in. Okay, let's talk about clarity, or sapheneia, as he called it. For Aristotle, this wasn't just, a nice thing to have. It was everything. It was a logical requirement. Because if people can't figure out what you're saying, your speech has completely failed. Period. Doesn't matter how smart it sounded. But clarity by itself can be kind of boring. And that's where appropriateness, or prepon, comes into play. This is all about fitting your language to the context. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't use the same epic, serious language a general uses to talk about war to give a simple, sweet toast at your friend's wedding, right? So you're basically walking this tightrope. On one side, you fall into being so simple that you're just flat, unmemorable. But on the other side, you fall into being so complex and showy that you sound pretentious, and even worse, nobody understands you. The real masters, they live right there in the middle of that rope. So how in the world do you actually walk that tightrope? Well, Aristotle gives us a secret weapon. And he thought it was the single most powerful tool for taking clear language and turning it into something people will actually remember. And that tool is the metaphor. Just listen to this line from the Athenian statesman Pericles. He didn't just say, "Oh, losing our young men is a tragedy." No, he made you feel the loss. He made you feel the emptiness, that gut punch feeling that a whole season of life and potential has just vanished. That, my friends, is the power of a great metaphor. So why are they so powerful? It's because our brains are basically pattern-matching machines. A good metaphor creates this little spark, this sudden aha moment where we see a connection we didn't see before. And that little flash of insight isn't just satisfying. It helps us grasp a really complex idea almost instantly. And check this out. This slide breaks down the beautiful logic behind that Pericles line. Aristotle called this a proportional metaphor, and you can see how elegant it is. Just as spring is vital to the year, the youth are vital to a city. So taking one away feels just as devastating as taking away the other. The comparison just clicks. It feels immediately, powerfully true. The absolute best metaphors create what Aristotle called energia, vividness. They don't just describe something, they make you see it. It's like the poet Homer, who didn't just say an arrow flew through the air. He said it flew on eagerly. It gives this inanimate object a life, an energy, that puts it right there in your mind's eye. Okay, so you've got these incredible tools, like metaphor. But now comes the real master's touch, making all this hard work sound completely and totally effortless. And here is the great paradox of it all. You have to master the art of style for the sole purpose of hiding that you're using it. Why? Because the second your audience feels like you're performing or trying too hard to be clever, they get suspicious. Naturalness feels authentic, and authenticity is what really persuades people. The one thing you absolutely have to avoid is what Aristotle called pseukron, or frigidity. This is what happens when you care more about sounding smart than being clear. It's language that's so over the top and strained that it just feels cold, awkward, and, let's be honest, kind of ridiculous. This example just nails it. Calling a simple office disagreement a cataclysm of outrage? That is textbook frigidity. It doesn't make you sound impressive. It just makes you sound completely out of touch with reality. All right, so we've covered the rules and the tools. But how do you actually structure the whole thing? I mean, avoiding bad style is one thing, but building a great speech from the ground up is another. Luckily, Aristotle didn't just leave us with theory. He gave us a super simple, incredibly powerful blueprint. He says that at its absolute most basic core, stripped down to just the logical essentials, a speech only needs two parts. Just two. That's it. First, you make your statement. You tell people what you're setting out to prove. And second, you give your argument. You actually prove it. Simple, logical, and so effective. But if you want to make your speech not just logical, but truly powerful and persuasive, Aristotle recommends expanding that blueprint into 4 parts. And this is the classic structure for maximum impact. First, your introduction. Your only job is to get their attention and make them like you. Then you have that logical core we just talked about, the statement where you lay out your point, and the argument where you prove it with facts and logic. And finally, the epilogue. You don't just stop. You summarize your key points and you stir up some emotion to leave a really lasting impression. So, you can kind of think of it like this. The beginning is all about ethos, establishing your character and credibility. The middle is all logos, making your logical case. And the end? That brings in the pathos, connecting with the audience's emotions to really drive your point home. So at the end of the day, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. It's a powerful toolkit that's just as relevant now as it was thousands of years ago. So the next time you sit down to write an important email or you're sketching out a presentation, just try it. Ask yourself, what's my statement and what's my argument? Start right there and just see how this ancient blueprint could give your ideas brand new clarity and power.